Hey everyone, what's going on? And welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. We are back on a Tuesday morning talking a lot of sports. So much is going on in the sports world. My head's about to explode. Way too much to talk about today. So we're just going to get right to it as quickly as possible. Going to recap this week 5 in the NFL, which ended with a great game last night. The Ravens and the Colts. That was an awesome Monday Night Football game. I must say Lamar just had it going. We'll start there because the Colts controlled this game pretty much the whole way. And into the fourth, the Ravens couldn't really run the ball. They weren't even trying to run the ball because they were behind. The Colts, meanwhile, seemed like they could do anything on offense against the Ravens. And really, in a way, I felt really bad for the Colts towards the end. This is a 1-3 team, desperately looking for a win. They just got their first win of the season against the Dolphins on the road. So maybe a chance to save their season here on the road with a big win in Baltimore. They were up, I believe it was 22-9, trying to kick a field goal, and then that's when things changed. The field goal gets blocked. At that point, actually, they were up by 8, so it wasn't 9. They were up by 8. And so then that would have made it a 2-possession game. Instead, gives Baltimore life. Lamar Jackson put on a performance. This guy, hey, I know this is maybe a quick reaction here, but with the Chiefs struggling, Lamar is doing what we got used to seeing Mahomes do. And the reason Mahomes jumped into being the superstar that he's become was because of games like what Lamar did last night. So give the man his flowers. Lamar Jackson coming through yesterday, saving the Ravens last night. They ended up tying it at the end. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people noticed this. The game tying touchdown and 2-point conversion went to Mark Andrews. And the touchdown before that and the 2-point conversion also went to Mark Andrews. So I think we know who his Mr. Reliable is. That's for sure. So super awesome game last night to finish off week 5. And now we go on to week 6. But before we do that, there's a lot of other games that went on. I woke up super early on Sunday. Had to check out this Falcons-Jets game just because I love football that much. It was like 6 a.m. over here, but I was up and I was watching. Atlanta, pretty much same thing. They dominated this whole game like they've done for the most part, and they tried to give it away at the end. Lucky for them, the Jets didn't capitalize and didn't win that game. The Falcons hung on and started off another great pick'em week for me. Went 10-5 this week on picks. Against the spread, we went 7-7 and 1 push, which was the Packers-Bengals game. Which was exactly Packers by 3, which is what the line was anyway. And I actually I had the Bengals +3 is what I had picked with the spread, which they should have ended up winning this game. To be honest, they had multiple chances to do so, and they couldn't do it. And the Packers also couldn't do it. But then finally, towards the end, the Packers got the job done and got themselves a W. Pretty much all you need to know from that game is that the Bengals are competitive. They're going to be in games this year. That offense is pretty good. They have some weapons. And for the Packers, they're the Packers. They're doing good. They're going to be all right. So recap that game. Dolphins, Bucks. The Dolphins scored first, I'm pretty sure, in this game. And then the Buccaneers just destroyed them. So Tampa Bay just, came back. Brady had 5 touchdown passes. The man is playing the best football of his life. I think that's even safe to say right now. He's playing the best football of his life at his age. It's incredible what he's doing. The Eagles and the Panthers, I had picked the Panthers to win this game, and they were up 15-3. Should have finished the deal, but the Eagles came back. Jalen Hurts showed some signs here, and the Eagles ended up winning this game. So good for Philly. Saints in Washington. The Saints got the job done. Good for the New Orleans Saints, getting the job done on the road. Big win for them. They didn't want to drop under 500, and they got it done there. The Titans played the Jaguars. Tennessee showed up. They bounced back after losing to the woeful Jets on the road. They actually showed up this week. The Jags are going through all the controversy, so much off the field and off the court controversy going on right now. It's really, really just horrible what's going on in the sports world right now. But I want to keep my focus on the fun stuff. I want to keep my focus on what's actually entertaining to me, which is what's going on between the lines. So speaking of lines, now we'll talk about the Lions, who played in Minnesota against the Vikings, and I'm going to go off on the Vikings. I can't believe how close this game was. The Vikings were 10-point favorites, and I didn't pick that spread because I said this will not be a blowout. The Lions and the Vikings will be a close game because the Vikings just don't know. They get too confident. Their coach plays way too conservatively, and they don't pound teams like they're supposed to. You have so many weapons. The Detroit defense is banged up. Jefferson had over 100 yards receiving in the first half. And what did you guys do? You ran the ball on 2nd and long in the second half. You trusted your defense, who had only given up 6 points at that point, and you said, we're fine, we can punt. It's okay if we punt because our defense has been playing good the whole game. And, I mean, playing like that, playing scared to lose rather than playing to win is going to cost you, and it should have cost the Vikings. Now, I'm not going to say that I was rooting for them to lose this game, but when the Detroit Lions came down the field after Vikings ran it on 3 straight plays to try to milk the clock, you have Kirk Cousins, you have all these receiving weapons, and you have a banged-up Lions secondary, finish the game out. You already were way too conservative in the second half and let this be a one-possession game. They were only up 16-9 at this point. Close the deal. But instead, they ran it 3 times, being scared to lose the game themselves. And what happens? Alexander Mattison fumbles the ball, the Lions get it, and now the Lions march down. And this is the problem with the coaching staff. Because they're so conservative and they're only up by a touchdown, they're probably thinking to themselves, you know what? At worst, Detroit will get a touchdown and tie the game here, and then we'll have the ball back or overtime. So we'll be tied at worst. Without even considering that, no, at worst, you're going to be losing because at worst, Detroit's going to go for 2, which is exactly what they did. Props to their head coach. Their head coach is the man. People don't like him because he has all these weird analogies, but the dude was crying in the press conference after the game. He was showing emotion. He was showing that he loves his team and he loves his guys. I think that's important. And I think that's something that, if you missed it, check out what he said.
When you see your players give all that they have and you lose that way, it's tough. You don't want that for them. So, but we'll be better for it, And there again, credit Minnesota, but, we made the one mistake that cost us, and so ultimately, we didn't do enough to win. But I was proud of them, and I love the fight they have in them, and I love the grit.
All right, so that's Dan Campbell. Obviously, super sad and disappointed that his team lost another nail-biter and another last-second field goal. But I'll tell you what, if I'm a player in that locker room, I would be proud that that's my head coach. That's someone I would want to play for. He's got our backs. He's defending us. He's showing that he cares about us. And that's just super crucial. That's like, it's just, that's the energy and the support that you need, in my opinion, from your head coach to know that he cares and he's going to fight every day for you and he wants to see you succeed. And so now they're 0-5. Obviously, their season's over pretty much. There's no coming out of this. He doesn't have the most talented roster, but his team is fighting. His team is in games. And, they could very easily be 2-3 at this point with a chance to make a little run in the NFC. Remember, Justin Tucker nailed a 66-yard field goal on them early in the year, which was a record, an NFL record, and it doinked in off the crossbar. And then the Vikings they get a 54-yard field goal, which was no guarantee. Their kicker had missed a 49-yarder earlier that was short of the crossbar. So, again, at the end of the day, this is more telling for me about the Vikings than it is the Lions because the Lions have been competing and the Lions are not as bad as 0-5. They're better than a lot of these 1-4 teams in the league. But the Vikings, man, they need to get it together. Their head coach needs to step on the gas a little. Before the half, they were on defense. The Lions had the ball, and they stopped the Lions on a run, and they called timeout to preserve time. So presumably, so they could get the ball back and try to get a last-second field goal or something before the end of the half. So the Vikings get the ball back with about, I want to say it was 40-something seconds left at their own 20-yard line. And on the first play, they ran the ball. You ran the ball on first down And that's just, when you have Kirk Cousins playing the way he's playing and the weapons that you have, why are you running the ball? And the dumbest thing is when they ran the ball on first down, the clock started ticking. They didn't call timeout, which is fine. I guess at that point, let's just say you're giving up on the last second drive and you're saying, let's just take it into halftime. We get the ball after half. So now the clock's ticking, but the play clock, when the play clock reset, the game clock was at 35 seconds. So at that point, just let the half run out. But instead, they snapped the ball with 3 seconds left in the half and ran another run. Why? That's where that just doesn't make sense to me. Are you hoping to break a 77-yard run to end the half? I don't understand that thinking. At that point, then that is when you play it safe and you just go into the half. There's no point in running a play with 3 seconds left, a run play that's meant to get you 5 yards. Why are you doing that? Like, so much could go wrong. You could have an injury. Why? It's just pointless. It's just, the Vikings coaching staff, for as much as I've backed them and loved them in the past, lately they are just all over the place. And Mike Zimmer needs to be held accountable for this. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to trust Kirk Cousins. And, there was a weird video at the end with Kirk and him all like fired up and stuff. And I mean, maybe that sparks something, but trust Kirk Cousins, man. Like, that's your only choice. That's the only way you're going to win. When they play teams like that they have to be in a shootout with, like the Cardinals earlier in the year, Cousins proves that he can be in a shootout with someone. So why don't you just take it to the other team first and not be reactionary? So, I don't know. That just was super disappointing. I know the Vikings won, but it felt worse almost than a loss by the way they played that game. And the fact that Kirk and Adam Thielen had to save them at the end of the game with back-to-back 20-plus yard catches and throws to lead to a 54-yard field goal to win the game against a winless team. And you're at home, and you have these playoff Super Bowl aspirations in that locker room. Like, no way, man. With that coach, you can't do that. So, I mean, they play the Panthers in Carolina this next Sunday, and I think they need to send a message. Come out aggressive. Trust Kirk. Go to work. So, I mean, they're 2-3. If they could get back to 500, everything will seem all right in that Vikings world. But right now, that win, I was about to say that loss because it felt like a loss. All right, rant over. Vikings, please get your crap together. All right, Broncos, Steelers. I thought the Steelers were done. I thought the Broncos were way better, and they weren't. Teddy Bridgewater did play, and I said if he played that they would win. They got smacked. The Steelers looked a lot better. Ben Roethlisberger looked like somebody watered him a little bit, and that standstill tree branch got a little more life in him and played a little bit better. So good for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. They got to win, the second win of the season. Packers, Bengals, we recapped the Pats, Texans. My God. This one was tough to watch because I bet some money on the Pats to cover the spread, which was 9. It was a high spread, and I thought New England would come in there after the performance they put together against the Buccaneers. They're playing the Texans, starting a rookie quarterback. We know everything we need to know about Bill Belichick. When he faces rookie quarterbacks, they stink. Not this time. Davis Mills took it to them. Davis Mills started for the Texans, rookie QB, and he looked pretty dang good. And the Texans had the lead for most of the game until the end when Mac Jones was able to bring the Pats back, and they ended up winning by 3. So they got the win, and I picked them to win, but they didn't cover the spread and pissed me off. But also at the same time, it's almost like the Vikings with Bill Belichick at this point in his career, with Mac Jones, who's shown that he's capable of throwing darts. They just play such a boring style of football. And I mean, run up the score. These coaches, I want to see these coaches run up the score from time to time, and not wait until the end. But yeah, I don't know. The Pats just scares me to bet on them moving forward. Don't know what to expect. The Bears at the Raiders. And, the news coming out of Vegas is John Gruden is out. He resigned, whether he resigned or he got fired, or Al Davis' son came in there and said, hey, listen, man, we're going to fire you for all of these emails and off-the-field stuff. So you can either resign, or if you don't resign, we're going to be firing you. I think that's what happened. I think then John Gruden said, all right, I'll just resign so it looks better for me. So he's out at head coach. And his last game as Raiders head coach was not a memorable one. They stunk. They played Chicago and Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, you know what? He managed the game. He had his first throwing touchdown, which I think even Bear fans will agree was not a great throw, because if that DB is actually paying attention and playing a little bit better football, that should be an interception if he just turns his head around, because the guy was very well covered. But solid, strong throw. The guy caught it. That's a touchdown. It stands. But what I was most impressed with from Justin Fields, not that touchdown pass. Like I said, I don't think that was the greatest throw. Probably should have tucked that in and not made that throw, but it worked out in his favor. But in the fourth quarter, when the Bears needed a drive, the kid was poised. The kid made some throws. He found openings in the zone defense, and he found his receivers and kept the ball moving. And that's when the Bears got a great drive in the fourth quarter that pretty much sealed the game. And most of, if not all of it, was because of Justin Fields. That was the most impressive part of his whole game to me. I think if I'm a Bear fan, I'm feeling really good about that. Feeling really good about that when the momentum shifted and when the pressure was on and I needed to come through with a drive to at least milk some clock, trusting that my defense is good, but moving the ball down the field, getting some points. He did that. It led to a field goal, and that sealed the game. So good for Justin Fields and good for the Chicago Bears to get that win. Big road win. Now they got the Packers next week, and they got a tough schedule coming up, but they won this game. They were severe underdogs. They were underdogs by 5.5 points, and they got it done. Good for Chicago. Congrats. Browns at Chargers. This was probably the game of the week. I thought it was going to be under. The majority of the money was on the under, and this game had 87, 89 points or something like that. I think it was 47-42, so 89 points. It was way over, and it kept going back and forth and back and forth. It looked like a college game, and at the end of the day, the Chargers got the job done. Baker did play a lot better in this game, but I was super surprised to see the Browns defense struggle. And, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be surprised anymore, but Justin Herbert has got it. The kid is good. So, good for the Chargers. Big win for them at home. They're looking like one of the best teams in the AFC. I'd love to see a matchup of them and Buffalo. That would be so much fun. Great game there. Giants, Cowboys. Hey, Dallas is for real. I'm telling y'all. Yes, the Giants started off pretty good. Saquon rolled his ankle. Then Daniel Jones gets concussed. He looked like a drunk coming out of a bar at 3 a.m. He couldn't stand up and walk upright. So he was out for the game. They had to go in with their backup quarterback, and they were doomed from there. But the Cowboys, they're getting the job done. Trayvon Diggs, dude has 6 interceptions in 5 games. I will say this, though. Great numbers. He's doing great. However, he is the highest flag corner in the NFL. And, the picks are exciting, and that is what counts. And trust me, if a guy can get interceptions, he is good. But there's other things he needs to clean up. And, so he just, it's not as sexy as advertised is what I'm trying to say. The interceptions are great and all, but those flags need to come down. And I'm pretty sure the completion percentage of quarterbacks against him is pretty high. Risky way to play it there if he's just tempting quarterbacks to throw it his way, and every once in a while he'll get a pick. But so far he's proving to be the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year for sure because of those statistics. And if he cleans up the rest of it, which I assume he will because he's a young guy, he's dangerous. So soon they're not going to be throwing his way, I'll tell you that much. So good for them. The Cowboys are looking really good this year. 49ers, Cardinals, Trey Lance just couldn't get it done. And the Cardinals are good. They're 5-0. They're the only undefeated team left in the league. And they got a big win. I mean, they didn't win by much, but they did enough, and that's what matters. They beat the 49ers, division rival, and the Niners are now 2-3, and they are just so banged up. It's hard to see them making a run this year. Bills, Chiefs. This was the surprise to me. The Chiefs don't look like they have it. Their defense is soft. Mahomes, we love Mahomes. I love Mahomes. I always joke around. I'm like, he's my man crush every day when it comes to football quarterbacks, the way he handles himself, his professionalism, the way he plays. the way he speaks, his leadership. But hey, sometimes we just got to call it like it is. And right now, Mahomes is not looking great. He's turning the ball over a lot. He's putting a already bad defense in bad situations. And the Chiefs are struggling right now, and they need to get out of this hole. So we'll see if they bounce back next week. But they really need to make up for that. They're really struggling. And in the AFC, lucky for them, there's not a lot of teams. It's heavy at the top with the Bills, but other than that, they can make a run still, but they need to clean it up quick. Colts, Ravens, we talked about that game, and Lamar's playing better than Mahomes. There was an ESPN report that had the top 5 MVP runners a week ago, and Mahomes was in the top 5. I have no idea why. Like I said, I love Mahomes, but he's not deserving, not right now. So that'll wrap up the NFL recap from Week 5. Looking ahead to Thursday's game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing Philadelphia. The Eagles are coming off their big road win, but the Bucs are favored by 7. The over-under set at 52. I'm taking the Bucs. I already placed a little bet on Tampa to win and to cover the 7 points. I think they'll get the job done on the road. They seem to destroy teams that they're way better than, and I think they're way better, more loaded than the Eagles. Brady is questionable with a thumb thing, but obviously assuming he'll play, the reports say that he's going to play. The 52 might go over on that. I think the Eagles with Jalen Hurts are capable. They just played the Panthers, who in my opinion are a better defense than Tampa right now. Tampa's defense is not that great at the moment, but I think the offense of the Buccaneers will be able to carry them. And Brady's just playing the best football right now. All right, so that does that. Couple NBA notes real quick. Kyrie Irving, the Nets announced that as long as he's going to be a part-time employee, he will not be on the team. So respect. That's all I can say. Respect Brooklyn for saying, hey, man, look, we got to move on. This train's moving. And if you're on it, great. And if you're not, you can't be bouncing back and forth. I think that would have been a complete headache for the team if he's playing only on certain road games and he's not playing at home games. They just said, hey, Kyrie, no problem. You don't want to get vaccinated and you want to do your thing. Respect that. That's your decision. Respectfully, do your own thing. But respectfully, as the organization, we also have our own decision to make. And this is our decision, and I respect that. I'm big in respecting people's decisions. And if a job wants to make that decision, then good for them too. They can decide to do that as your employer. And I think that's great. I think the Nets can now move forward. They can treat this like an injury with no timetable for Kyrie's return. If you ask me personally what I think is going to happen, I think he'll get vaccinated. I think when push comes to shove, even with people that are unsure for the vaccination, at the end of the day, they want to make a check, they want to get paid, and they'll show up to work. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. At the end of the day, Kyrie, I think, will end up getting vaccinated and will show up to work. Just like Ben Simmons all of a sudden showed up to Philadelphia. And this is how we're shifting to Ben Simmons. He just showed up yesterday to Philadelphia to get back with his team because push came to shove and the team stood their ground and said, all right, we'll keep finding you as long as you're not here, but we're not trading you unless we get a trade that's going to blow us away. And guess what? When you're starting to get those fines and the check's not coming in, no matter how much money you made, I always say this, don't count people's pockets, because even if you have $100 million in your bank account, that means you have a $100 million lifestyle. That means you have a $100 million vision. So the things that you may want are way more expensive now because your appetite has grown. And that's what happens. So even if you have so much money, everybody wants more money. And that's why I think Kyrie will end up coming through. And that's why I think Ben Simmons showed up to camp. He could front and he could say all these things. I'll sit out. He's going to be sitting out losing, money that he can't make later in his career when he's 50 and 40 years old. This is his time to make that money. And if he wants to sit at his home and lose the money every day, he can. But I think that ambition, that drive, call it greed, call it whatever you want, ultimately it's human nature. He's going to want to make more. He's going to want to progress. Even as an individual, progress. You get one house, you want a bigger house. Like, that's just life. And so I think finally, I'm proud of the Sixers for standing their ground. I'm proud of the Nets for standing their ground. Because at this point, if they had folded, like I said on the last episode, I think it would really hurt the players moving forward, especially when it's time for a new deliberation and contract between the PA and the league. So good for the teams to stand their ground, and the players obviously folded because that's just how it's going to go. At the end of the day, the employee needs the employer more than the employer needs the employee. You know, if LeBron's out of the league, then there's Zion. And when Zion's not around, then there'll be Bronny Jr. will be in the league. So that's a revolving door. So you can never think that you're bigger than the game. So, and this is a little reminder for these guys. And I think what I'm anxious to see is what response Ben Simmons is going to get when he gets back to Philadelphia. I have a feeling the fans are going to boo him. Philly fans are rough, but Philly fans are honest, and I respect that. They're not going to be, sugarcoating it. They're not going to be fake. Philly fans are going to let you know how they feel, and that's why I love Philly fans. So I'm excited to see what kind of response he gets. And I have a feeling he's going to get booed, and he's going to have to regain that crowd, regain that trust. Do I think at some point he'll get traded? Absolutely. But I think he needs to play it out. He needs to play it out, show his improvement, take some jump shots, prove that you've improved. And then you'll get what you want, and you'll get traded, but the team also will get what they wanted, and they're not going to trade you for a bag of potato chips. So, it's all coming full circle. So, all right, this will wrap for this episode. Thursday Night Football, Bucks, Eagles in Philadelphia. That'll be a fun one. We'll come back on Friday to recap that game and start looking ahead to Week 6 of the NFL season. And by that point, basketball will be less than a week away. And I'm not sure if I'll do it on Friday or if I'll do it next Tuesday. Probably on Friday, actually, because I'm out of town on Tuesday. NBA is back, baby. We're doing opening night in Charlotte next Wednesday. I can't wait to be back in Charlotte performing in front of fans on the court. I'm super excited about that. So I'll come through on Friday. We'll do a quick recap of Thursday Night Football, preview for Week 6, and a little NBA preview as the season is about to tip off. Can't wait for that. And I'll talk to you guys then.